Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Soul School. I'm Calvin Lincoln, and tonight we have a very special host, guest host. Matter of fact, I might as well call him a guest host. He's been on several times, and I'm just honored, actually, just to be sitting in the same room with this cat. There's a few people in my life that when I sit back and I reflect on some of the things that I've actually got a chance to actually be exposed to and be around. Actually, sometimes I sit back and it kind of makes me get watery-eyed to sit up and talk to a Polino DaCosta or somebody like that, or Larry down on Earth, Wind and Fire. People who musically are just on a whole nother level. You know, to be in a room with Larry Blackman from Cameo, who doesn't talk to anybody. He would be considered to be a strange dude, but when you really get to know him and he decides to let you inside of his world, very, very cool cat. And really, to be honest, to find out that this gentleman, Mr. James Gadson, who's Motown Hall of Fame, Beverly Glen Records Hall of Fame, Capitol Records Hall of Fame, Bill Withers Hall of Fame, Dyke and the Blazers Hall of Fame, Charles Wright, the Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band Hall of Fame. Just the fact that he'll sit up and talk to me, and actually there's no money or nothing like that involved. Only thing he cares about is much like what I care about and the audience cares about, which is people playing, progressing, and actually trying to keep really music alive. And that alone was enough to allow him to allow me in here. Is a true blessing indeed. Please welcome back to the show once again the one and only, the legend, James Gadson.
What a pleasure and honor to be here with you this evening. Thank you.
Man, are you kidding, man? The last time that we sat up here and talked, I had no idea. I've always been fascinated with your drum sessions, but I had no idea that was you on Do It Baby. I knew Love Machine, it was either you or Ed Green, and then I would find out that it would be both of you, man. I'm sitting up here, and most of the studio work that was actually done, let me take away Calvin Lincoln, the fan. Let me get down to business, y'all. Most of the studio work, did you guys work a lot out of, I know you said Mo West, but were you guys ever at Westlake or Crystal or the Record Plant or anywhere like that?
We did,
or the Sound Factory?
We did some things at all of those places. I did some Motown stuff at Crystal. I don't remember doing any at Record Plant, but I did some that had a studio called Paramount.
Okay.
Where Sly used to be.
Okay.
Sly would come there, and do his thing there when he'd be in town, and the Funkadelic George Clinton.
Okay.
I was downstairs doing something, and they were upstairs at another studio.
That is really a trip, because when you look at the credits on a lot of stuff, it'll just have a specific place, whether it's United Sound or whatever. And I've always been fascinated. I know, like, for me, the Michael Jackson sessions for, like, Thriller and Off the Wall and that stuff, a lot of it was done over at Westlake. I always like to know, who was engineering, whether it's Bruce Sweeten or Art Stewart or whoever. To me, even as a child, I always found that very, very fascinating. I always wanted to know who was the magic behind the magic. One thing that I need to share with you, and you probably have some stories of your own, is my brother, who plays professional jazz. He was very close with a guy that you may know named John Wood. He was a piano player. Yeah. And they used to have this studio called Studio Masters.
Right.
And all the time that I was going to Mount Vernon Junior High, I had no idea that Leon Sylvers was cutting all that Dynasty stuff, the Shalimar stuff, the Lakeside stuff, somewhat tight,
right. I think that he's in their camp at the present time. I think that a lot of Leon Sylvers, a lot of that stuff,
Unsung Name and The Soul Game.
All that came from him. And I met Leon through Al McKay.
Wow.
It's funny how everything
the circle
interconnects and everything. Yeah.
Was this like way back in the day when they were on MGM or whatever?
Was way back in the day. When they were on the MGM. I did what was that? I did some Silver stuff. Though Freddie Perrin didn't do some things.
With Boogie Fever and all that stuff?
Boogie Fever and some other stuff, I did with them.
I didn't know that. I knew that wow. Yeah. Like I said, there's not too much you haven't done, so that
I have been very blessed. I must say that. I have been truly very blessed to have been on, because those were the things that were happening at that time.
Right.
That was the wave, so, I've been very blessed.
Now, have you ever worked with Jerry Peters, the great keyboard player down here?
Yes, I have, many times.
Yeah, I've met him once upon a time, and I was looking on the Earth, Wind and Fire Spirit album, and I saw some of the things that he was doing in Denise Williams' album, the album that had Free on it. And I had seen him play live once, and I was just like, just totally just blown. He's bad.
He's bad, very bad. Every year we play for a Motown, they have a situation where they give away scholarships and do certain things. Jerry is the band leader. Every year we get to play together. He's now living in Atlanta, Georgia. He has a gospel label that is doing fantastic. You know.
Wow.
He'd always been into gospel. His father's a minister, you know.
Okay.
Fantastic arranger, producer, player, who, you know, just, you know. So by me coming to California, I mean, it's a blessing.
Wow.
You know, to be able to play with all these different people. I mean, I came in and I see Joe Sample and Wilton Felder, Jazz Crusaders.
Yeah, the Jazz Crusaders.
I'm playing with them in the studio. I mean, my heart is jumping out of my chest. You know what I'm saying?
See, man, you threw me completely off in a good way, man, because I was getting ready to say, let's get to some Sylvers Entertainment, his Boogie Fever. My man played on it. But actually, I've been wanting to do a special on the Jazz Crusaders. And this thought, like I said, this guy's basically, you know, Webster's Dictionary of information in reference to not only who he's played with, but everything that has went on down here or whatever. We were talking about the Jazz Crusaders. Now, you actually worked with Wayne Henderson and those guys?
I have to work with Wayne. I did. He was producing. Some of the albums I remember. I remember Roy Ayers' Sixthville album. I played on that one. I played on some of the Crusaders stuff.
Wow.
And Joe produced. You know, I've been. You know, I was very honored to do that. You know.
Wow.
And.
Any of the Wayne stuff, like with Side Effect or any of those?
Yeah, I played on some of that stuff. Yeah.
See, for me, this is like truly opening up a Christmas present talking to you, because I'm not one. I'm a little bit left of center when it comes to commercial radio. I mean, I like all of that stuff like Boogie Fever and all of that, but I'm also fascinated with the fact, like even somebody like a Roy Ayers, you know, that you're working with people like that. Like I say, I knew Quentin Joseph and just different people like that were doing stuff, but I you know, I'm learning myself.
Yeah, I was very, very fortunate and blessed to work with to get to work with these people.
Now, did you guys do the work in L.A. or was it in New York? Or
it was here.
Okay.
I didn't want to fly. They called me Luther Vandross, who I'm sorry I didn't go. He called me one time to come to work for him in New York, and I didn't go. You know, I didn't want to fly, and you know, I just.
Was this during the time like when Marcus Miller was Luther's band leader or whatever? Or?
I don't.
What year was it about?
I can't remember.
Okay.
But I think this was after his first album.
Okay.
And I think in Adderley, Cannonball.
Oh yeah. The piano player, yeah.
Doing some stuff with him.
Oh yeah, that had to be 82, 83. That was during the superstar time.
He called me and I didn't go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know what, brother? You're not the only one, because Bootsy doesn't like to fly, and Aretha does not like to fly.
I fly now.
You fly now, huh? Yeah. So.
But you know, it just, I was under some other stuff too. There was some other things happening in my life.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to deal with.
I know Bootsy talked one time about his reason for not wanting to fly, and he doesn't talk about it too often, but he said he had a real crazy incident on James Brown's Learjet when he was playing behind JB, and he said that anything under 28 hours or something, he'll hit the bus, but he's really not trying to fly. So said he's missed out on a lot of money like that, but, you know, things happen, you know. Yeah, so, wow, Luther Vandross. Yeah. Wow. It's funny because everybody that you've played with, he's the one guy I figure rule of thumb. Well, I know he's worked with Luther. He's been with everybody else. So
you know, I really, you know, really hate that I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But Patti, I got to work with Patti LaBelle. She came out.
You know what? Man. It's funny, man. I'm getting so much out of just talking to you because Patti LaBelle's solo career. I'm not really nuts about all of the solo stuff. A lot of the stuff I'm just not. I know she can get down, and vocally she's everything. She brings the Holy Ghost to the stage and the whole night. But the studio work, a lot of it, I'm just not nuts after. But the one song that I'm like complete, it's my favorite Patti LaBelle song of all time, "Joy to Feel Your Love." I looked on the record, man. Not only you playing drums, but you singing on it.
Right. I'm doing background. Ray Parker. That was a Ray Parker. He wrote that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we were in San Francisco. We'd go to San Francisco. David Rubinson would call us to, to come down to San Francisco and do Many People, because he was managing Herbie at that time, and he was producing Herbie.
Okay.
And among many other acts, that he did it. So we'd go to San Francisco.
Well, where was that cut at? The Automat or
yeah,
record
the
plant?
Automat.
Yeah.
Right.
Small world, man. Small world, man. Wow. Question. What was the most fun session? And it may not be so much a particular commercial session, but what was the most fun you've ever had at a session, cutting with somebody?
I think doing Bill Withers when we were together, because we had played together as a group with the Watts Band. And so we were able to...
You guys were tight then.
Yeah, we could read each other's mind, in a way of speaking, as they say. So that was probably the most fun for me,
Yeah.
That I can remember. Although all the other stuff was great, great too. I remember doing Reunited. We did that.
You did Peaches and Herbs Reunited?
Yeah. We did that in one take. And I said, Freddie, man, that's a hit, man. I said, we don't need to do that no more. He said, well, I'm going to take your word for it.
Where was that cut at?
It was cut at, he had a studio. Freddie Perrin had a studio. I don't know if he had a name or not, but he did that. We did Reunited. We did I Will Survive in one take.
Gloria Gaynor, you did that also?
Yeah, we did that. And we were working on another song, Half the Day. We did I Will Survive, bam, and the cat said, well, hey, well, man, hold on, we'll put the beginning on.
Yeah.
He said, well, we'll stop. Let's just make a insert and put that on there. We had worked on the B-side, which was the A-side, all day. I Will Survive become the B-side, and look up and it's the #1 disco record of all time. So, but you never know about these things.
Yeah, because even like with the Spinners, I've heard stories about the Tom Bell sessions. How Could I Let You Get Away was the A-side. I'll Be Around was the B-side.
Wow.
And the DJs, yeah. Same thing with Stevie Wonder with My Sherry Amore. That was a B-side. Who would have thought, though?
Right.
Matter of fact, let's get into Peaches and Herb. This is Reunited. The Federal Reserve today. The Federal Reserve is who orders the money they deliver the money to the banks before the banks open up. I'm sitting up with the Federal Reserve musician session master. This cat has played on so many jams, and I thought that I really knew his catalog of work. But like I say, the more that we talk and the more that he opens his mouth, the more that I learn that I don't really know him the way that I thought that I know him. And, I'm pretty astute when it comes to studying and stuff like that, man. But I'm just, I'm just totally amazed. I Will Survive. I had no idea you did that either.
I didn't, as we talk, it comes back to me. I have flashbacks to these different things. I've been so fortunate and blessed to have played on so many records.
What is the key, though? Most of that stuff is written out and charted out by the arranger.
Right.
And just the person that they know, like, just to say yourself, who like, okay, we can get this, or Charles Collins, we can get this knocked out. They're going to come in there and they're going to get it right. Is that generally what it is, or? Well,
when we were playing live, it had nothing to do with the drum machine. You didn't have, the tracks might waver or whatever they might do. If you listen to Al Green stuff, that's some funky stuff, and it does everything, but it ain't about that. It's about the feel. And so I think that the feel is probably the most important thing in making a record, because you got, 3 minutes and 48 seconds or whatever it is. I don't know what it is now, but at one time it was 250.
Right.
From the time that needle drops, you got to come with it. You can't wait till the second verse. It's got to be there from the beginning. So whatever you set up, when you count it off, when you set up, you got to be dropping it.
I'm glad you brought up Al Green, because I had done a special years ago on Al Jackson Jr. And nobody has no idea all the Willie Mitchell sessions and stuff in Memphis, and that Al Jackson Jr. is he's passed on years ago, but he was somebody that was very dear to me in reference to my studies. And when I found out all the